Right. Welcome back to the Women in STEM interview series. I'm here today with Sarah Saunders coming to us from Texas. Could you tell me a little bit more about how your position within the STEM field and a little bit about how you got there?
So I am an advanced math teacher. I primarily teach students who are interested in mathematics. So I have a pretty sweet spot in what's called the International Baccalaureate program that we have all over internationally. But here in Longview, Texas, our main high school, Longview High School, has this great program that really is a college readiness program as well as an international mindedness and cultural program. So it's a lot of fun. Let's see, I got into teaching primarily from just getting interested in education. It's kind of random, I guess. Let's see. I'll start with I started out as an engineering student at University of Texas and kind of had a life epiphany at about 20 and changed my degree to a mathematics degree um, and started working as a substitute teacher and really enjoyed it. One of the teachers at the high school that I worked at ended up having to leave midway of the year, and I became their permanent sub. And I just fell in love with it. It might be genetics. My dad's mom, so my grandmother, was a teacher. His sisters are teachers. So I think there is definitely some background there, although I hadn't really considered it until I'd experienced it. And I think that was really changing for me. And so the spot that I'm in now, I've just worked my way kind of through teaching over the last 12 years and gotten into a pretty great spot. I really love the program that I work in right now because of the international mindedness and the culture. It's really close knit and it's an awesome community. So I really enjoy that.
Did you always know that you wanted to go into something in the STEM field, or did you decide that in high school? How did you know?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I have always had a knack for mathematics specifically, but eventually I think, maybe realize that math and science are one. They are the same. At least that's my experience. And so, yeah, it really has always just been like that. It's always been my strength. I have some language learning difficulties. I'm on the brink of dyslexia, so I have some issues with language. So that has always been a weakness of mine. Although I love to read, I love sci-fi, so it's kind of weird that it's also a weakness. But yeah, science is so interesting to me. I love it so much. And then mathematics is just a strength that I've had, very fortunately, I think.
Absolutely. Um, my brain just paused for a second and decided to restart. Do you find that I know you talked about sort of the international mindset, but is there like a specific part of your job that you love the most?
Definitely just connecting with the students. I mean, that's what makes teaching so wonderful. Everything else is very difficult. Um, but yeah, I really love the kids. I really love how that they are so unique and different. Every group I get, 100 new kids every year, and they're all unique and different and interesting and different levels of, I hate mathematics to I love mathematics, all over the place. And I really enjoy sometimes changing their mind about it because everyone thinks they're bad at it. And I just have to tell them, you're not, especially the kids I teach because they're advanced math kids. I'm like, you guys have no idea. You're amazing. There's something that goes on, I think, when you're younger where a lot of people are turned off by the difficulty of algebra and the concepts that are tough, but I think a lot of kids just get this mindset of it's too hard. And I like to be able to change their minds because I think it is very doable. And hopefully by the time they leave my room, they can see that it's doable.
Yeah, it sounds like you're an excellent teacher, so I'm sure they do. Um, and over the course of your journey from starting in the engineering to switching to the mathematics to becoming a sub and to like a full-time teacher, have you found any sort of like support from women or communities of women that have influenced your career path at all?
Oh, absolutely. Because most teachers are women. um, Yeah, most definitely. Most of my college friends were science girlies, so I have a lot of bio background because of my friends. Um, but yeah, once I got into the teaching field, there's just a huge support group of women. A few men have been in there, so I shouldn't leave them out because I definitely have a few men that are helpful. But gosh, yeah, my previous boss, my first boss that I had at Longview, she's now retired, but man, she was an English teacher, but she was so supportive in my learning how to teach. And even though she didn't necessarily understand what I was teaching, she definitely supported everything that I did and would be like, you're doing great, but here's some, improvement, or here's where the kids are going to need you more and stuff. Like, she made it to where it was very understandable, like what to do. Because teaching is kind of getting like thrown into a fire pit and just like working your way out of it. There's no real training. There's no real, I mean, you can do the training, but until you get in there and get your hands dirty, there's no real thing like experience that's going to get you where you need to be.
Absolutely. And that leads perfectly into my next question. Do you have any advice for for girls who might want to pursue being a math teacher or even just pursue teaching in general?
I would say, especially with high school, it's a little different. The younger kids, elementary school, you probably would get a teaching degree. But I wouldn't advise that to anyone who wants to teach the more advanced parts, math, science, or anything. Really get your degree in that thing and then get a teaching certification, which is what I did. It helps you so much more than a teaching degree actually will. Most of the teachers that I work with have degrees in their field. So like my neighbor, who's great support system, she has a degree in history, and she's one of the best history teachers that we have at our school, that I've ever met, to be honest. She's amazing. And I think that's pretty much everybody. Also, my math department, yeah. And that we all have actual mathematics degrees and then got an alternate teaching certification. It gives you a lot more experience in the field. And it also gives you opportunities if you ever want to get out of teaching, which unfortunately a lot of people do. And it gives you just that wide variety. If I had gone back, I probably would have stayed in and got my master's. I keep flip flopping with like, oh, I should go back and get it, and I'd get it in more mathematics. I think that that's just going to be such a strength for you for the rest of your life career.
Absolutely. Do you find that there's something that you love most about math?
Um, I like problem solving, which is all of it. But we just finished our trigonometry in pre-cal, and I think of some of the like analytical stuff as like little puzzles. They're like, because there's no numbers, so they're little puzzles that you kind of have to solve. And it's like a brain exercise. It's, you look at it, you don't know where you're going with it. You just have to try different things until you get to the end, and then it's like light at the end of the tunnel, like, oh, there it is, that's where I'm going with this, that's where this was supposed to land. And you kind of get that fun, I don't know, jolt.
Absolutely. I find that either math students or math teachers are of the opinion that they feel like they either prefer algebra or they prefer sort of the more geometry track. Do you have a
Mhm.
preference for one or the other?
Oh yeah, algebra all the way. Although I consider everything algebra except very specifically like geometry and Euclidean geometry. I'm not good. I am a visual learner, but I would say that like I have a issue with some spatial reasoning, which is one of the reasons I kind of got out of engineering. Was I realized I have a bit of I don't know, a learning curve on some of that more um, physical, real geometry stuff versus I really love, like I was just saying, the analytical stuff. I feel like it's not real. It's kind of just like these little puzzles. They're definitely logic, but yeah, because calculus is algebra. Um, I truly believe that with my heart of hearts. And then pretty much everything from there is algebra. So I definitely took that line versus I took one geometry class in college, and I was like, oh, this is not quite for me.
Yeah, I definitely always preferred calculus to geometry.
Yeah, it's just algebra. It's just more algebra.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I really appreciate you coming out and talking to us. Do you have any last remarks for anyone who may be viewing this?
I don't know. Just good luck, I guess, in all of your careers, even with the arts. The math is important. You're always going to be using it. So stick with it because you're not bad at it. I promise.
All right. It's said from a high school math teacher herself. I'd believe her. All right. Well, thank you everyone who's coming out to watch. Keep tuned for more Women in STEM interviews throughout this Girl Scout week. All right.